Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the Stephen Hour, and we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the final appearance of the Riddler in Season 1, two-parter, The Riddler's A Death in Slow Motion. And with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. We begin with one of Gotham City's wealthiest citizens attending a cinema unveiling as they are celebrating the silent films with one of the civilians there. One of the wealthiest socialites there is an old man, Mr. Van Jones, who has donated much of his collection of silent films for people to see. And just as this is happening, a person dressed like Charlie Chaplin's tramp walks in and essentially we have this entire scene essentially imitating old school silent film craziness, and it ends with them being taken away, but not before the tramp went into the box office, gassed the receptionist, and stole the money. And thanks to a song, we find out who the villain is that did it. And as they leave, Van Jones is upset because they've taken the attention away from him. He's a bit upset. But we then find out when the owner finds out the woman was gassed and the money's gone, we then cut to Police Commissioner Gordon's office, where they realize it's the Riddler. And it turns out that essentially a riddle was left there, but the audience didn't see it. They then call Batman up, he comes in, the opening credits roll, and we kick off with the plot. The Riddler is back, and I like how Robin comments again, won't he ever learn? Which something tells me the Riddler must be a bit of a nuisance to always come and pop up. Anyway, as they get to Commissioner Gordon's office, they have to decipher the riddle. When is a band stand like an oven? The answer, because that's where he makes his bread. Bread, in band terms, that also means money. They then conclude that Riddler must be going to rob the biggest bakery in Gotham, rob them of their payroll. And as they're making their way there, the Riddler and his new crew are at the bakery, out back, and it's revealed that Riddler is trying to make a silent movie, which has been commissioned by Mr. Van Jones to make. With that, that's the premise. So this whole plot is Riddler trying to make a silent film, and he does this by going to places and setting up film cameras to film essentially everything. Such as they go into the bakery, which is still being filmed. They go into the bakery, knock out all the attendants with pies with sleeping cream, and write a riddle on a wall and steal the payroll. And just as they get in the van, they're about to leave, Batman and Robin comes up, but they still film Batman and Robin getting out of the Batmobile. They then drive away. Batman and Robin, of course, get into the bakery, survey the area, and find written on the wall, Batman, for one baker to another, how do you make a dishonest shortcake? They realize that the answer is a library, a corrupted version of the word library. And one baker to another, there's a library on Baker Street. They then make their way there. Riddler, of course, is out there in his van, waiting for Batman to come. They start filming his arrival and him breaking in, only for a giant book to fall on top of him. Riddler and his crew, after filming it, make their escape. Just as Batman and Robin quickly get up, they then look in the book and find out that the book is essentially a history of the old silent films. And Batman's starting to notice a bit of a theme with this caper. They then take the book back to the Batcave and decipher the two riddles left in there. Riddle number 1. What do you find in your kitchen that is not alive? The answer, nothing. Everything should be dead. and they've come to the answer deadpans, which is a famous silent film expression, realizing that the next caper must be a deadpan caper. And the second one, when is a car considered seedy? When it's a lemon. And they then come out with this very bizarre answer that Van Jones is having a party where he'll be serving nothing more than lemonade, and he's a collector of deadpan silent films. They then start making. Batman then says Alfred to tell that Bruce Wayne won't be attending, but Batman will. They plan to be there, knowing that Riddler's gonna be there. We also see back at Riddler's hideout, he is making the silent film as it goes along, but he is also preparing a special brand of lemonade that essentially is like putting chemical in lemonade and will essentially make the guests start fighting themselves. As Batman and Robin are at the party, the guests start acting weird. Next thing you know, a fight breaks out, and it's courtesy of Riddler's spiked punch. Just as this is happening, Robin is outside Van Jones's house in the Batmobile, surveying from the outside, where a woman dressed up like essentially Little Bo Peep comes up and tells him a riddle. That the riddle, when is a bonnet not a bonnet? And the answer is when it becomes a young woman. And next thing you know, Robin is gassed by the woman. Turns out it's Pauline, the Riddler's new female accomplice. And of course, if you're doing a silent film caper, the name of the girl had to be Pauline. It just made sense. So just as this, and as a result of that, Batman's inside, see the Riddler's goons, but one of the Riddler's goons fires a gun and Batman ducks. He then tries calling up Robin, only to find out Robin's not responding. We then cut to the Riddler, his gang, and Robin at essentially one of the Riddler's hideouts, where Robin is essentially tied down to a conveyor belt, and the Riddler pronounces a riddle. When does the boy wonder rhyme with bow? Pauline tries to answer, says when he's in trouble, and he says no, when they're double. He plans to essentially, on the conveyor belt, have Robin be cut in half with that chainsaw. He then knocks Robin out with some gas, turns on the treadmill, and Robin is slowly going towards his death. And that's our cliffhanger. The cast here is pretty substandard, really. I like how Alfred got to help out a bit in solving the riddles here, which is really fun. The police, I think, are the most, I guess, stumped they've ever been so far. As they have to call out Batman nearly every time the Riddler pops up. Like, they can't try and answer a riddle themselves. They've only done it ever once, trying to answer a riddle themselves. And so far, Batman and Robin are just themselves. I can't believe it's silly to how Robin/Dick, got trapped by that woman, but I guess with nearly them in a ridiculous costume, it's just, guess it's easy to forgive them, I guess. But of course, the best standout has always been the Riddler. Frank Gorshin here is absolutely fantastic, and what I like about it is that a majority of this episode and the second part really give Frank Gorshin a full chance to fully explore his range here. You see, Frank Gorshin made his bones as a stand-up comedian and an impressionist. So this episode got a chance to actually have him really fully explore, those skills. Him as Charlie Chaplin in the beginning of the episode, as the tramp, and that's gonna be the same. I like this, and for me, it just made sense from an actor from that background to have this type of caper. Interesting, for the majority of this first part, the Riddler wears his traditional businessman suit. He doesn't wear the onesie like he did in the previous one. And for me, he's still captivating. Is still, captivating. He's still Frank Gorshin, you know, as Riddler. This is just so his performance in this part, and we'll find out how it is in the second part, are absolutely captivating and absolutely screen stealing. Death in Slow Motion for me is so far a really great Riddler episode. We know what he's doing. He's trying to create a silent film to give it to Van Jones, but we don't know fully yet. And you know, the fact that that's not just the caper's theme of exploring a lost, forgotten, long forgotten films, but also the actor playing the villain, the Riddler, Frank Gorshin, you know, really got to have his chance, you know, got his talents to be shown with that, with that sort of caper, have his talents be shown for the silent films and impressionism. For me, it works with Frank Gorshin. However, if I could point out something, although this episode's good so far, but one real gripe, I guess you could point out, wouldn't this work for a Joker episode? Especially for modern Batman comics, that definitely would. But again, with Frank Gorshin's background, for me it works far better, and especially with his range and energy, works far better with Riddler. And I think it would with this series Joker. But that's really the only thing you could really point out. But for me, I don't see it that badly as others do, and find it to be so far really good. And that was it, a death in slow motion. Another Riddler eccentric episode, but for me, this just feels so different, so fresh, and we got to see Frank Gorshin really stretch everything out here, really, and it's absolutely great. Join us next time as we review the part 2 to this, The Riddler's False Notion. Until then, tune in next time for the same Steven hour, the same Steven time, and the same Steven channel. So long for now.